At the gym, finally, at last. I mean, hang on, is that even recording? Yeah, it is, cool. Wasn't sure if that was recording for a minute. Wanted to make sure. Don't want to have to redo the intro. It's the most fickle clip out of the entire video. Or the most fiddly, I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm pretty tired. It's 9:30 at night, and I'm literally only just getting to the gym. And given that fact, like, it's pretty clear that I really fucked today. There's only one reason you'd be getting to the gym 9:30 at night, and that is because you completely shat on your schedule and just everything just went completely out the door. Complete and utter chaos, basically. But silver lining, the water's actually cold for once. The last few times I've bought water from the gym, it hasn't been cold. It's been warm because I've just topped up the water bottles in the fridge. So I'm focusing on the little things, the positives. Like, for example, I didn't fucking forget my funnel, which is something that I almost forget every single time I come to the gym. So I'm pretty happy about that. It makes life a hell of a lot easier. So 3 scoops, as usual, about 15 grams of EAAs. That was a little bit of an underfilled one, sort of a heap scoop. And still some. Almost, there we go. So yeah. Probably won't actually drink that energy drink because I won't actually be able to sleep tonight at a reasonable hour. So, yeah, late session tonight, guys. I basically just slept through my alarms, and ran behind the 8 ball by about 2 hours throughout the entire day. And as a result, I'm here quite late. Don't know what it was about last night, but I was trying to sleep. Like, don't get me wrong, but I was waking up every hour, either pins and needles, nerve pain from like my arm kind of just losing blood flow, I guess, and having like a pinched nerve up near my shoulder, or if it wasn't that waking me up, it was my sleep apnea. I was snoring quite a bit. My fiance got the shits and went down to the couch to sleep on that middle of the night. So I really need to start using my mask again. It's funny, I've spoken to a lot of people who have CPAP masks. I was speaking to Jared about it too. He doesn't use his either. He spent like a couple grand on his CPAP machine as well. It seems like us bodybuilders, we're notorious for buying a CPAP machine and not using the bloody thing. So I need to really start using it. I mean, not for just my own sake, but also the sake and well-being of my fiance now too, because she's suffering at my expense now, which isn't fair. So I need to get my shit together and start using it. I'm going to set it up tonight. It's just when I'm in an off-season phase or massing or whatever you want to call it, like currently I'm eating a decent amount of food and I'm going to bed filled to the brim every night. It feels like I'm going to choke on my own vomit. The last thing I want to do is have a mask on and to potentially choke on my own vomit and have no way of it escaping, which is part of the reason why I bought the nasal mask anyway. The nasal mask is to get around that. So I will use it tonight. I promised my fiance I would, so I need to at least give it a crack, give it a red hot crack. So I'll set that up tonight once I get home from the gym before I have my post-workout meal, or arguably dinner. And yeah, but back session wise or training session wise, it's a back bicep redelt session, so a pull session. And I've kind of condensed it a little bit because after training with Jared and Mike the other week, I've decided I'm going to reduce my back training to just 3 exercises instead of 4. And I'm still going to keep my bicep work at the beginning of the session because biceps are a weak point for me versus back. And I find personally, if I train my biceps, it doesn't negatively impact my back training. If, for example, you're somebody where your arms were a weak point, but your back was also a weak point and your back training suffered at the expense of having biceps petitioned at the start of the session, then I probably wouldn't do it. But for me, in my situation, or in my case, it doesn't have that effect. So I'm just going to do that. I'll still do the bicep work at the start, then I'll go into rear delts, and then I'll go into back training. So still the same order, biceps, rear delts, back, but just 3 back exercises instead of 4. So I got spider curls, incline dumbbell curls, then the reverse fly. I might try the reverse fly on the free motion cables. I'll see how that goes. Just because I'm going to get more of a loaded stretch, and having more of a loaded stretch is going to be a little bit more beneficial, I think. Or not, I know it's going to be more beneficial. Then going into the hoist pull down. So instead of doing the hammer strength vertical row, I'm actually replacing it with the hoist pull down that I used with Jared and Mike the other week, because I'd never used it before. It's actually a really good machine. You get an insane stretch. It loads up more in the stretch position, and it gets lighter at the peak contraction, which is ideal, obviously, if we're wanting to load the stretch up more. And then after that, you only do a cable row and then a machine pullover. Because I just get a really good connection with that machine pullover, the hammer strength pullover machine. So that's what I'm doing, basically. Spider curls, incline dumbbell curls, reverse flies, hoist pull down, cable row, and pullover. About 3 sets of each, 4 sets for back exercises, but 3 sets for the bicep exercises. My rep sets, or my rep match sets, I should say, for the spider curls and the incline dumbbell curls. So that'll be pretty brutal. And then just straight sets for back. Actually, I think the pullovers from memory are my rep match sets, but the other 2 back exercises are just straight sets. So that's the plan of action. Time to basically dive into it. So I'll see you guys in there. But that felt a little bit funny on that warm-up set. Like, it felt almost like I had like a pulled lat or a pulled teres. It was weird. But because of that, I'll take it a little bit easier on this first set and see how it goes. It didn't really take it easier, but it felt alright, so I just kept going. So I got to match 10 reps for the next 2 sets. Not unrealistic by any means, but it'll be challenging. So really trying to keep my elbows kind of like tucked, or the inside of my elbows rotated out. More supination, basically. Two more. I think 10 breaths will be enough. Alright, time for incline curls. So I decided to do the curls on this instead of the incline bench. Just doing Bayesian curls. I believe 60 was what I used last time, but I'll see how I go. Probably wondering why. Just easier to set up. There's pretty much no setup required. Whereas the dumbbell incline curl is a little bit more fucking around. Yeah. 2 more. Alright, the moment of truth. Let's see how this feels for cross body rear delt flies. Weight wise, I'm not sure if this is appropriate, but we'll see. We'll give it a crack. Oh, no, that is not going to work. That is not going to work. Worth a shot. Looks like it's good old reverse pec deck.
Train with those guys during the day?
No, I missed it today. I slept in. So I messaged Jared asking when he's doing legs tomorrow. I'll join in. Yeah, yeah. Alright, seat is not going up any higher. I'll just have to shift my hips back. Roll the shoulders forward a little bit and good to go. $17 is the number to match tonight. It's got 3 more sets of these. I was really hoping that the free motion machine would work, but it's not going to work, unfortunately. Cables don't extend long enough, so I'm stuck with this. But this isn't a bad piece of equipment to hit rear delts on. It's just not that good for the stretch. You don't really get to load the stretch up that much, but it's definitely better than, say, a rear delt row, in my opinion. I find I get more loaded stretch in this than a rear delt row. And rear delt row just gets a lot of like traps and rhomboid involved as well, so it's not as rear delt specific, I guess. This I can definitely make it a little bit more rear delt specific. So 17 reps gotta hit. So far they're going alright, but I think because I rested a little bit too long after that first set, when we did that second set and hit 17 reps, it wasn't quite close enough to failure. So on this next set, I'm not going to rest as long, so it should be alright. But on this next set, if it does feel a little bit too easy, when I hit the 17 rep mark, I'll just keep going. I don't care if it's exceeding the first set. I want to make sure that I get close enough to failure to make these sets really, really count. So yeah, that's the plan. Three more. Five more. Yeah. Same machine that I used when I was training with Jared and Mike last Thursday. So let's see how this goes. Get some good music. So I've got 4 sets on this. The first set felt pretty decent. I'm going to try and milk the stretch a little bit more though on this one, so I'll see how it goes. Same weight. With this back exercise, the focus is definitely, obviously, as you could probably see from or tell from how I'm performing at the stretch. But when I get to the peak contraction, I'm always trying to get my torso horizontal. So I'm almost trying to like lean back more as I contract to kind of turn it into a little bit of a pullover motion and get even more lat involved then, because if you can get a bit of like loaded shoulder flexion and extension happening through the movement, or a little bit more I should say, it's going to just bias that lat or bias the delats a little bit more. Gotta find a good track for the third set. There we go, got a good one. But yeah, 2 more of these and that's onto the cable rows. Again, something that I picked up from Mike and Jared the other week was doing the kind of the full flexion rows. Just something that I've done in the past, but I don't think I've actually like spoken about it before. So I'll speak about it a little bit when I do it next. It's basically a modified cable row variation that allows you to get the spinal erectors, the posterior chain involved a little bit more than it otherwise would if you perform it with a more kind of conventional kind of execution. Get some indigestion, it's not fun. So what I did today is to try avoid running into the dilemma I've run into the last couple of days. I tried squeezing in an extra meal earlier in the day so I don't have as much food to catch up on later in the day or later in the evening. So now I've only got 2,000 calories left for the day instead of 3,000, which I normally do. So that's kind of nice knowing that when I get home all I have to do is hit 2,000 more calories and I'm done for the day. Because appetite's really not existent, or appetite is non-existent I should say right about now. So getting the food in easier is definitely a priority of mine. And if I get a bit too behind in the day, which I almost did today with eating, it becomes a massive chore getting it in before I have to go to bed. And then I feel shit, I have a bad sleep, I don't recover as well. And it comes back around and bites me in the ass the next day. I start the next day off shit. So that's something that you probably want to consider if you're bulking and you're struggling to get your food in and you find that you're having to play catch up later in the day. Might be worthwhile trying to just increase the size of some of your earlier meals in terms of the caloric density of them, not necessarily the volume. You don't want to do that. If anything, try to reduce the volume of your meals, but just increase the calorie density of them earlier in the day. And that affords you the opportunity to not have to shovel down as many calories later in the day. Yeah, time to get this set out of the way. Oh God. Now the idea with this one is you're basically hinging at the hips on the eccentric, getting as much of a stretch through the posterior chain as possible, and then as you come back at the peak contraction, you're going into a more upright position, extending through the thoracic a bit. But you're going through thoracic flexion, extension, and hip flexion and extension to a degree. If that makes sense. So hip flexion, creasing at the hips, thoracic flexion, bending or flexing through the mid-back as you go toward the stack or as you go into the negative phase. And as you come back on the concentric, that's when you go into extension, both at the hips and the thoracic, or at the thorax, I should say. See if we can match the reps on the second set. Even grip. Always use the knurling to make sure your grip's even, guys. It's probably the biggest rookie mistake you can make. It's creeping up on me now. That's a 2-rep drop from the last set. Want to go there and actually test my luck. Bump the weight up 20 pounds. Try 140 pound for the last set. Then I'm gonna have to cut it short. Cut the session short, skip pullovers because the gym's close here. Could have kept going, but I wasn't going to fully lock out each rep because on each rep I wanted to try to touch my torso with a bar. If I can't do that, there's no point doing more reps in my opinion. So I barely scraped that last rep to touch my chest, so that's the end of it. Even though I had good control of the eccentric afterwards. But that is the session. So trying to head home now. It's 11 o'clock. Still got 2 meals left and I've got to get to fucking bed.